There we go. So welcome everyone. Just a note that I am going to be sharing supplementary information in the chat as I go. So if you are interested in accessing that information later, please make sure you save the chat before you leave. Otherwise, take my email address down so that you can ask me for it and I will send it to you. Let me just pop my email in the chat now. Okay. I'm going to start by introducing myself. So my name is Tamrin. I am the founder and the current CEO of the Farside Group. As it stands presently, Farside consists of Farside Accounting, Farside Solutions, Farside Foundations, and our Farside Business Builder. And we have a team members and clients all over the world. And that sounds so much more impressive than it actually is, because despite the appearance of size, we are actually very small. Our core team consists of 5 people and our main client base is under 30. So we might be global and multinational, but we are not massive. I started Farside with Farside Accounting back in 2007. I was 25 years old, meaning that I was energetic, passionate, downright stupid. And I thought that being good at accounting would mean that I would be good at running an accounting business. But I was completely wrong. And I learned very, very quickly that being a business owner is very, very different to being good at your profession. But being young and stubborn and low on cash, I chose the hard road. I believed that hard work would do it for me, and I kept pushing and pushing and pushing until I nearly collapsed from some very severe burnout. So just a side note, if you are here today feeling burnt out or nearing burnout, please feel free to reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn, book a chat. I am more than happy to connect with people who are suffering from burnout, share my story and tell you how I dealt with it. You can also, if you don't feel like reaching out, I'm popping in the chat some of the previous webinars I have done on burnout in the hope that they will help you. But I burnt out very badly and I took my business with me. And in the process, I was forced to learn. I learned that the health of a small business is directly related to the health of the business owner. You collapse, the business collapses with you. I learned that a business that relies entirely on you is not a business. It is merely a job with a really horrible boss. And I learned that hard work, while necessary for success, will not earn you success if you are working the wrong way. I had to rebuild my business while I rebuilt myself. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I actually learned how to be a business owner. But more importantly, I learned how to build a business that I want. And I learned to recognize what I consider to be success. And that is what we are going to chat about today. What is success? Because we all want to be special, don't we? Right from when we are children, we learn to herald the special. That girl who got full marks on her test. That boy who picked up every single trophy for his sport. That artist who can take their thoughts and put them onto canvas or in sculpture and just blow our minds. We grow up hero worshipping the special people and wanting to be one. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to be the best that you can be. We should continually strive to be better than yesterday. Aiming for excellence is one of the best character traits that a human being can have. But is it the same as being special? I was a clever child. I did exceptionally well in school, and my teachers made me feel special. But then I left school, And I spent the rest of my life trying to live up to that title, to continue to be special. So I want to share a bold fact with you that set me free of that burden, and I hope it will set you free too. Very, very, very few people are exceptional. The vast majority of us are average. That is why the term average exists. And I'm an accountant, so I need to use numbers to back me up. This is the bell curve for the world's IQ. 95% of the world's population is just ordinary. 2.5% are subnormal, but only 2.5% of the 8 billion people on this planet are actually special. Which is, of course, why we get so excited about special people, because they are so rare. But should we want to be special? Yes, extraordinary people do amazing things. But the worst parts of human history are also thanks to people who thought they were special. Napoleon thought he was special. Hitler thought he was special. We shouldn't necessarily be wanting to be special when being ordinary is actually perfectly fine. Because there is something we have overlooked on this graph. It is the 95%. It is the ordinary people on this graph that actually keep the world running. Ordinary people don't start wars. Ordinary people keep the world going. We try to have a nice day, and hopefully we try to help others have a nice day. We might think the 2.5% are special, and maybe they are. They're definitely exciting. But it is us boring average individuals the world actually needs. And that is something to be excited about. You don't need to be special. You just need to be you. And to make sure you're doing the best you can with the skills that you do have. This extraordinary fact is best illustrated in business, which is just as well, because this is a webinar for business owners. So let's look at some business facts. 90% of all the businesses in the entire world are small businesses, SME. That means that we have over 400 million small businesses in the world right now. Those tiny little businesses account for 50% of the world's employment. In fact, small businesses are responsible for 2 out of every 3 jobs created in the last 25 years. And in America, which at the time that these stats were recorded, had a very healthy economy, in America, small businesses are responsible for 44% of the GDP. Small, ordinary little businesses are very literally the backbone of the world. Small businesses support economies, provide jobs, feed hungry mouths, put children through school, and house families. It is small, average, ordinary businesses owned by ordinary, average people that actually make a difference to the life that you live. So if you have been busting your gut to be the next Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, stop. Step back for a minute, take a breath, and reassess. Because we are primed to herald the special people. We are easily swept up in the excitement of shiny things. But they're not necessarily as extraordinary as you would think. I am sure you've all heard the term unicorn in relation to business. If you're in the IT industry especially, it's not restricted to IT, but in the IT industry, the ultimate goal is to become a unicorn. A beautiful, mystical, magical beast of a business that is worth more than $1 billion. Unicorn businesses are normally those that have recognized some sort of gap in the market or a new way of doing things. They have this mind-blowing growth, and they're normally led by some incredibly charismatic young CEO who is beautiful, brilliant, and slightly mad. But are they special? Unicorns are exciting. They disrupt the market and they turn things on their heads and they get everybody interested in what they're going to be doing next. They're flashy and thrilling and they embody everyone's dreams of entrepreneurship. And of course, they throw around terms like billion-dollar valuation, and so we all want to be a unicorn. But the truth is that unicorns are not as extraordinary as we think they are. Unicorns have reality-defying growth. And okay, so far I've only said good things about them. And I know they sound amazing. But this is where it gets interesting. Because growth costs money. So they also tend to have anxiety-exploding debt. And they require constant rounds of investment. And because they have constant rounds of investment, the founder of a unicorn normally ends up with very, very, very little ownership of that unicorn. And because of their obsession with growth, unicorns tend to start running out of market and hitting a wall. So unicorns are exciting, but it's becoming more and more common for institutions such as Harvard and boards to consider them bad investments. Because flash might produce excitement, but it has no substance. It can't survive the long haul. And the advice given to startups these days is not to be a unicorn, but instead to be a camel. Now, if ever there was a discrepancy in the excitement level of an animal, it has to be camels and unicorns. I mean, how many little girls do you see running around holding stuffed toy camels with a camel hump on her back and wearing clothes covered in camels? Right? Camels are not exciting or cuddly or popular, but they are stable and good at survival. And when we think of success, boring businesses are always overlooked. When we set out to be entrepreneurs, we were thinking Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, not the laundromat down the street. We think innovation and disruption and global transformation. We don't think systems, HR, financial controls, and budgets. We thought that business ownership would be exciting. And therefore, if our business isn't, if we're having a hard time, if our business is small and boring and uneventful, or even worse, it's eventful, but the events are hard, then we think it's not successful. But there is magic in the ordinary. Camels are one of the most successful animals in the world. They thrive in environments where other animals die. And they're also able to enjoy temperate and comfortable environments as well. There are over 22 million camels worldwide, and you can find them on every single continent in the world. They are so successful at survival that they've actually become a problem. In Australia, they have 700,000 feral camels that they are considering as pests, and they need to get rid of them. Because camels are not focused on being exciting or beautiful or disruptive. Well, camels might actually think of being disruptive, but they don't spend their time trying to be unicorns. They are focused on being camels. So what does that mean for you? Because you are here not as an animal, but as a business owner who feels ordinary and boring and unsuccessful. Otherwise, you clicked on the wrong registration link and you might want to go find the webinar you meant to be attending, because that's what we're doing today. We need to embrace our ordinary. The most successful businesses in this world are not flashy tech companies. They are companies that provide products and services that ordinary, normal people need for everyday life. Being a normal, ordinary business is a good thing. 80% of businesses fail in their first 5 years. The biggest reason is linked to financial controls, but a large part of business failure is from trying to be exciting instead of stable. I can promise you that there is very little glamorous about being a bookkeeper, but people need me. Business owners need Farsight to help them with bookkeeping and payroll and taxes, help them control their numbers, make more money, and more importantly, keep more money in their bank account. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, but it is extremely worthwhile, and I'm never without customers. And when I had to rebuild my company back up after burnout, I realized that any small business owner can be successful if you just do 2 things. Recognize what success is for you. Stop comparing yourself to the business next door. Definitely stop comparing yourself to the business gurus on social media, because half of them are lying anyway. And how many of us are guilty of this? We read that Mark Zuckerberg owns 5 pairs of jeans and 5 gray t-shirts, and he wears the same thing every day to reduce his decision fatigue. And the next thing you know, you have a cupboard of blue jeans and gray t-shirts that you probably never wear because you don't like gray. Or we hear that Jeff Bezos has a rule that no meeting should ever last longer than the time it would take to eat 2 pizzas. And so to stop wasting time, we start buying pizzas for meetings, and we probably just get fat. And my goodness, in my household, we'd have 30-second meetings. Human beings are like magpies. We are attracted to flashy, shiny new things. And we are very attracted to formulas. We want that 5-step plan to 10x our sales. We want the 5-step program to triple our profits. And we fall for the hustle culture, telling us that we just need to be out there all the time, hustling, getting in clients, pushing. But the truth is that hustle culture will burn you out and leave you for dead. I can promise you, because I have been there. Hustle culture is not glamorous. These formulas are flash with no substance. They don't work because there is no quick fix for success. The substance of business is boring. The substance of business is in ordinary, everyday things that are really not exciting at all. Which is why the next thing a business owner needs to do is implement some very boring fundamentals. All successful businesses implement a similar boring framework, which I'll share with you. The first thing is that they know what they are good at. Camels are uniquely adapted to their environment. They store water because water is rare in the desert. They have huge spreading feet that enable them to walk on soft sand without sinking into it. And they have those beautiful long eyelashes to keep that same sand out of their eyes. They are really, really good at the one thing they need to be good at: survival. So don't try to be all things to all men. Work out what you do really, really well, and then get better at it. Be the go-to expert in that one thing. And I don't mean that you have to offer only one service or have only one product. In fact, it's a bad idea. You want to be spreading your risk. But work out what your area of excellence is and what makes you unique. I am not the only accountant in the world, but I am quite possibly the only accountant in the world who specializes in using financial data to prevent burnout in business owners. There are thousands of accountants who will help you use your financial data, but I do not yet know another one who does it specifically for burnout prevention. And I do this because of my experience with burnout and my burning passion to prevent it from happening to other people. Within that sphere, Farsight offers a huge number of services, but they all revolve around creating sustainable freedom for business owners. Knowing what you are good at and what drives you will help you to identify the type of client you are good at helping, and then having an ideal client profile will dramatically improve the results you get from your marketing. So work out what your sphere of excellence is and focus on it. It'll make a big difference to what you do and how you do it. Our webinar last month was actually on building a business around passion. So if you missed it, here's the link in the chat. And we have another one from back in the day called Navigate Your Niche, which is also helpful in this regard. The second thing that boring businesses have is a proper structure. You need to have clearly defined roles and responsibilities. Now, when you just start out in business, and maybe some of you are there or you're in the early stages, then you are the entire business and you are fulfilling all of the roles. But it's important to recognize that you're not filling one role with thousands of functions. You're filling hundreds of roles, each one with its own functions. And as you grow and you begin to build a team, and you do want to build a team, you don't have a business if it's just you. You don't have to hire your team. You can outsource, you can partner. There's all sorts of things you can do these days, but you need a team. And as you build that team, it is essential for you, your team, and your business that these roles and responsibilities have been clearly defined. Because defining these roles provides boundaries, it provides accountability, it provides safety for your staff, and it gives you a framework that you can use for measuring performance and rewarding it. So a boring but successful business has a proper structure. You also need proper procedures. You need a clearly defined way of doing things. You've already defined your roles and the associated responsibilities, but now you need to define how those responsibilities are realized. A planned, written, and verifiable system for replicating results. This is why franchises are so successful. We already mentioned 80% of businesses fail within 5 years. That is an established fact, and it hasn't changed for decades. And yet, in the same 5 years, only 5% of franchises fail. And the main reason for that is that when you buy a franchise, you are given clearly documented policies and procedures for every single thing that happens in the business. McDonald's does not just have burger making procedures. They have detailed step-by-step guidelines from how thick the patty must be to how hot the grill must be and how long the patty is on the grill. And because of that, every single McDonald's burger in the world is the same. You opened your business because you are good at what you do. And even if your profession has generally accepted principles for your work, like accounting does, we have internationally accepted principles. Even then, the way I do my work is my own. The way that I prepare a set of accounts for a client is my way. The way I name my files, the way I store my documents, the way I communicate with clients, how often I communicate, what I communicate. It is my way of doing the work. My way becomes Farsight's way. And the only way my team can produce the exact same results as me is to have my way written down step by step for them to follow. This removes confusion, it reduces error, it dramatically speeds up your training and onboarding, it vastly increases your quality control, and like roles and responsibilities, it will provide you with a good framework for your performance management. Having the right team for your company is essential. It's so important to have people that vibe with your values, that fit your company culture. And the best way to get that team is by hiring for character and values, and then teaching already defined roles and procedures. A business without defined policies and procedures is operating in chaos. The best recommendation I can make for structure and procedures, and in fact business in general, is this book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. It is a wonderful book that every single business owner should read. It's easy to read, it's quick, and I highly recommend you grab a copy and you make the time to read it. A solid, boring business also has good financial controls. Camels are successful because they can survive in dry environments. They survive where resources are scarce. They can do this because their bodies are incredibly efficient at using their resources. And a solid business has strong controls for their cash. Their bookkeeping is always up to date and done regularly, not once a year. Please, if your accountant is only helping you once a year, change that. Get hold of them and ask them to do your accounts monthly. These businesses have a budget which they stick to. They constantly review their expenses and ensure that they are within budget and that they are being efficient and that those expenses are necessary. They ensure that they have a cash management plan where they provide for things like VAT and tax payments and big annual lump sums like professional membership fees. They have collection systems to make sure that they get paid, and they have savings in place for the unexpected. They control their cash. And because of this, they can survive bad times, and then they can thrive in good times. Now, because I'm an accountant, we actually have quite a few webinars on financial controls. So here's a full list in the chat for you. If you're joining as a Farside client, there are even more topics actually in the client portal, and the same for the Business Builder members. We've got more content there, but these ones in the chat will definitely help you get going with financial controls. Boring but successful businesses aim for steady growth. A successful business does not seek meteoric growth. Meteoric growth is dangerous. Oh, it's very exciting. It is very expensive to run a business, and I'm sure it is far more expensive than you were expecting when you launched your business. So it's very exciting when our sales grow because we know we can cover our costs, and it's even more exciting if they grow quickly. But we need to remember that it costs us to provide our products or services. Even if you don't have suppliers or you don't buy products, it will cost your time. The more sales you make, the more money you spend. If you grow astronomically, then you have to grow your team, you have to buy an equipment, you might have to upgrade your premises, you'll have to invest in more software, you have constantly growing costs associated with growing income. And it is very possible, it happens, that a business can grow faster and incur more costs than income and then fold. This is one of the common reasons for business failure, is that it actually outgrows itself, its own ability to run itself. So you don't want meteoric growth, you want steady, manageable growth, and preferably spread across more than one income source. So preferably more than one type of income, but definitely more than one client. You don't want all of your money coming from one place because that's really dangerous. You want to spread your risk and grow slowly. Now, if you do need help with your marketing and sales, we do also have a couple of webinars that I'm popping in the chat that will help you, but don't be downcast if this growth is slow. Slow is good. You can cope with slow. You can make plans for slow. A camel business has good governance. Good governance is essentially the principle of being a good steward. Stewards look after other people's things in such a way that they are operating in the best interests of others. And I know this feels like a weird point because this is your business. You are the founder and the owner, but you are also the director. And the business is its own legal entity with its own legal requirements. And it is the director's responsibility, legal responsibility, to ensure that the business meets those requirements and meets them in a way that is ethical, inclusive, and fair. You are not supposed to operate in your best interests. You are supposed to operate for the best interests of the business and all of the people connected to the business. So a solid business has good policies in place for the ethical treatment of customers, suppliers, and staff, the public in general, and looking after the environment. You have policies to protect people's privacy, to act ethically, for risk management, and for looking after the finances. You need to ensure that this business is compliant, that it is unreproachable, because a reputation of reliability, responsibility, and ethics will take you much, much further than a flashy marketing plan and a 5-step formula to 10x your growth. Governance is not exciting, but it is very important for the director of the company. If you have registered a business anywhere in the world and given yourself the title director, please go watch our webinar on governance that I am popping in the chat, because not enough small business owners take it seriously enough. And the last fundamental that a business owner can implement is to invest in performance management. You cannot improve what you do not measure, but you also don't want to be measuring everything and then overwhelm yourself with the measuring and never get to using the measurements. You need to be tracking the right things. So you want to work out what is important to your business. If you want some guidance with regards to tracking, there are 3 financial numbers that every single business should track, regardless of what industry you are in. We did do a webinar on it back in the day, so that is going into the chat again. But in addition to those 3 numbers, you need to work out what is relevant to your business. If you sell cat treats, then the number of dog owners in your area is not relevant. Track the right numbers, but also recognize that tracking is only half the job. Make time to review those numbers and pay attention to what they are telling you so that you can adjust your policies, your procedures, your behavior, and your governance accordingly to get better results more regularly. This webinar on unlocking the value in your numbers is also extremely helpful with regards to managing your performance and tracking the right thing. So, you do not need to be flashy or large to have a happy, healthy business. There is magic in being boring. There is magic in the ordinary. Aim to be a camel, not a unicorn. Camels know what they are good at. They have a solid structure and good procedures. They control their cash. They are ethical, good stewards, and they make time to work on their business, not just in it. And I know that that is not easy as a business owner, but it is important. I want to remind you that 90% of the world's businesses are tiny. 90% of the world's businesses exist purely to provide stable income for families so they can feed their children and put them through school. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you implement the 5 steps, 7 steps above, you can build yourself a solid, dependable business that provides you with income, pays for itself, and gives you some freedom. Because there is magic in being ordinary. For you to be a successful business, the first thing you need to do is make peace with you. I had to accept being average. I am not the best accountant in the world. And I can't be because I'm not a genius and I don't have a magical accounting brain. And no matter how hard I work at my profession, there is always going to be someone better than me. And I'm definitely not the best business owner. I had to work very hard at learning how to be a business owner. I have no special skills. I have no amazing talent. Unless you count my being able to put my whole fist into my mouth, which is a really good party trick. But otherwise, I have no special skills. But I am good at what I do. And I have a unique experience of life and business that equips me to help others in a very specific position. And I only started to do well in my business when I accepted my normalcy, when I accepted what my limits are. There is a marvelous book called Grit by Angela Duckworth, and second to the E-Myth, I highly recommend it. Angela Duckworth is a psychologist, it's actually Dr. Duckworth, who set out to determine why people become successful and what it is that makes someone special. She interviewed and studied Olympians, Marines, scientists, musicians, artists, businessmen, people from every sphere of human existence, but specifically those that had reached the pinnacle of their career. People that we consider special. She set out to find out what made them successful. And she found something extraordinary. Skill, talent, and natural ability had nothing to do with achieving success. The people who achieved success were the ones who recognized what they were good at and what they were bad at. And they stuck with their passion and kept on improving. They aimed for continuous improvement and they didn't care about being naturally good at something or not. They implemented boring, effective frameworks to learn, practice, and improve. They recognized the magic in boring fundamentals. Ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things if they embrace their ordinary and accept their limitations. And ordinary businesses can bring you huge happiness if you know what happiness is. What do you want from life? What do you consider to be success? We don't ask this question of ourselves enough because it's not a simple question. We are constantly bombarded by other people's ideas of what success is. In adverts, on TV, in movies, in books, on social media and magazines, we are constantly absorbing other people's opinions on what success actually is. And we don't sit down and work it out for ourselves. We don't ask what success is for us. You do not need to be large to be successful. You do not need to be special to be successful. You don't even need to be exciting to be successful. But you do need to know what you want and what you are able to achieve. So I encourage you to put some time aside this week and to start asking yourself some questions. Find out what it is you actually want from life and why. And keep asking why until you actually have the root cause of what drives you. If you need some help, we actually did a webinar on this too a long time ago. It was our first one ever. Put it in the chat. And we ask these hard questions. We walk you through asking the questions and finding the answers. So make the time, watch the webinar, and ask yourself the questions. Accept who you are. Because as ordinary and average as you are still 100% unique. No one else in this world has your fingerprints. No one else has your retina scan. No one else in 8 billion people has your tongue print. Your ear pattern is unique. Your body odor is unique. Your walk, your skull shape, unique. In 8 billion people, no one has these 7 characteristics as you. You might be ordinary. You might fall into the 95% bell curve, but you are not boring. There is no one else like you in the entire world. So stop trying to be Jeff Bezos. Be you. And build a business for you so that you can serve others like you. And that way, we build a better world. Just a reminder, if you are battling with burnout, please give me a shout, or if you don't feel like chatting, grab a copy of my book. Link in the chat again. Also, last year we sold a bundle, Beating Burnout Bundle. It had 4 sets in it of a course about beating burnout. And if you email me today, email in the chat, I will give you access to that bundle for free. So if you need it, give me a shout and we will arrange that for you. Also, if you need help implementing any of the 7 fundamentals we went through today, please just give me a shout. This is what we do. We help you build a business that doesn't destroy you. So if you need help with structure and procedures, finance, governance, or performance management, use my booking link. Let's chat. If I can help you for free in the chat, I will. So you have nothing to lose. And of course, you have the opportunity to ask me questions right now. So if you have questions about the steps, stop recording and open up for questions.